Hey there, new commanders, and welcome to Elite Dangerous. In this video, we're going to cover how to dock and launch with stations, outposts, and planetary bases in this game. Docking with and launching from stations is a core component of Elite Dangerous and is necessary for gaining access to many station services, like the 3 Rs: refuel, repair, and restock. Stations provide the means to purchase commodities if you're into trading from the commodities market, accept a wide variety of missions from the mission board, such as combat missions, transport missions, and mining missions, and many, many more. You can pick up passengers for interstellar cruises from the passenger lounge here. You can speak to specific contacts, each of which can help you with claiming bounties, paying fines and fees, turning in combat bonds, selling illegal or stolen cargo to the black market, and turning in occupied escape pods and other wreckage and salvage from the search and rescue operations. There are other contacts that you can reach out to, but that will be covered in a later video. If you've collected cartographic data, you can turn it in for cash here at the Universal Cartographics panel. And if you found a planetary body that has not been found by or discovered by anybody else, you could put your name on it through this panel as well, once you're docked with another station. Finally, you can hire NPC crew members to pilot fighters, which is covered later in the game, and you will need a bigger ship than a Sidewinder in order to have access to a fighter hangar. Stations and outposts and planetary bases also provide ship services at your disposal once you are docked with them. These can include ship outfitting, where you can customize your ship with a wide degree of options, including hardpoints, or also known as guns. Lots of guns. Utility mounts, which cover a range of, which include point defense batteries, frame shift wake scanners, heat sink launchers, and various other scanners and shield boosters as well. Core modules like thrusters, frame shift drives, power plants. These all improve your ship whether it be with handling, jump range, how long your life support lasts whenever your canopy breaks, if it breaks, power distribution, even the fuel tank. Optional modules like shields, cargo racks, docking computers, repair limplets, collection limplets, or drones, if you will, and so on and so forth. And finally, stored modules. You can purchase and store specific modules that you want to keep at specific stations. And then I actually need to clean these out, but you can see here, like in the stored modules, you can keep your modules at stations, your current station, and if you have modules at other stations, you can pay in-game currency in order to move these modules to your current station. Please note that this can take some time, like transporting from Colonia to this station will take roughly about more than 3 days in order for this module to get here. Stations will also have a shipyard available where you can purchase new ships from the shipyard. You could also jump into stored ships that you have available to you if these stored ships are at the station that you're docked with. And you could also move stored ships from another station to your current station with a fee, and how much and it also will take real time in order for your ship to make it to your station as well. Like, for example, transporting this ship from Colonia to this current station will take roughly more than 3 days as well, because of how far away Colonia is. And finally, we have the Advanced Maintenance tab. From here, you can repair specific damaged modules rather than repairing all of them. You can restock specific weapons, utility modules, and shield cell banks. And if you want, you can refuel your fuel tank in 10% increments. Please note that some stations, outposts, and planetary bases may not have all these services turned on due to external factors, and most stations will not have every ship or module in the game available to them. There are, however, a limited number of stations in the game that do have everything at their disposal. I recommend asking Google about these kinds of stations. Without further ado, let's go over how to dock and launch in Elite Dangerous. Alright, let's start with docking with a regular station, or a Coriolis station. When docking with a regular station, it's important we first have to lock onto the station from our navigational panel. You can select the station from your navigational panel by hitting the 1 key on your keyboard, 1 as in number 1, not the word 1, using your W and S keys on your keyboard to navigate up and down on the panel, and then selecting a station that you want to dock with, in this case, Ray Gateway, hitting the spacebar to bring up the submenu of the station, and there's a couple other buttons here that I'll let you play with, and then selecting Lock Destination. You can hit the 1 key again to put away the navigational panel. Now that the station has been locked on, it would be helpful to find or locate where the mail slot is, or the docking tube is. More like a little rectangle rather than a tube, but you get my point. So something that I do whenever I'm on approach with the station is I maneuver my ship around to try to find the side of the station that has the mail slot. And I believe, yeah, there it is. This right here on on your station will show up on your left hand side of your HUD, which is this little gray outline, this little gray holographic display, and the side of the station that has a mail slot looks kind of like this. It has like a little rectangle in the center of one of the sides of the station. So once you find this slot, you should try to maneuver your ship so that way you're facing that slot, and it makes docking 100% easier. It's not especially necessary, but it's helpful in the long run. Another thing to keep in mind whenever you're on approach to the station is your ship's speed. And your ship's speed is indicated on the right hand side of the HUD. Uh, on the right hand side of the HUD, where like the bar is increasing and decreasing. If you're going way too fast, it's like if you're going full speed when on approach to the station, you're going to be going way too fast on the approach, and you're going to slingshot right past the station, or you're going to run right into the station, and your ship is going to make an emergency drop, damaging your ship and or potentially blowing it up. Whenever you're approaching a station, it's better to increase your thrust to about 25. Excuse me, while some NPC is interdicting me, and I'm gonna have to record this again, or maybe not. Now, where was I? Right, speed. Whenever you're on approach with a station, you want to increase your thrust slowly until you get to about this point, where this little bar here turns blue. This usually indicates that you've reached the optimal speed of your ship, or in this case about 25%, 25% of the ship speed. You can increase it further, but I would prefer to keep. It's probably better to approach a station close to the bottom of this blue area here. That allows you to approach a station at a safe speed. Food for thought. Now, so let's go ahead and approach the station here. We're quite a ways away, so I'm going to go ahead and go full. I'm going to go ahead and set my speed to full so I can get there faster. I'm actually going to reduce my speed to show you this. When the station that you have targeted will have like a little will have like a little readout here, or like the amount, or so like in the readout it'll show the name of the ship, name of the station. Below that it'll show you how far away that station is in terms of light seconds, and below that is your ETA, or your estimated time of arrival to the station. In this case, we're going to arrive at the station. Sorry about that. In this case we're about 40 seconds. Our ETA is about 40 seconds to the station at our current speed. However, we can increase our speed to get there a little bit faster, and you can see right along the top there, we're now approaching the station at about we're gonna arrive at the station around 14 seconds. Still have to find that mail slot. Yeah, I completely lost where that mail slot is, and there it is. Okay, so we'll probably have to roll. We'll probably have to go completely around the station, and that's what I'm doing here. I am, instead of approaching the station head on, I am rolling around, so it's flying around the station to get on the side that has the mail slot on it, decreasing my speed because I feel like I'm going a little bit too fast here. And right there, now we're on the side of the mail slot, and we're approaching at a safe speed, and our ETA is at around 7 seconds. The 7-second threshold, ETA threshold, is the threshold whenever you're approaching a station. If you're going too fast, that ETA will decrease to around 5 seconds, 4 seconds. We are now going way too fast. And as an example, I'll show you what happens when you're going way too fast. You slingshot right past the station. Oh, button I didn't cover before. The X key on your keyboard will instantly set your ship's throttle to 0. This is helpful whenever you're on approach to a station, because if you feel like it's like a panic button for me. If you feel like you're going too fast on approach to a station, you can just tap the X key. It will instantly bring your ship's speed from whatever speed you're going at to 0. Let's try approaching that station again. Because I overshot, I'm gonna have to rotate, or I'm gonna have to fly in a circle around the station until I get to the side that I want. Where is that side? I think it's gonna be coming up here soon. There it is. Fly a little bit faster to get directly underneath. And there we go. Now we're facing the mail slot of the station. We're going about 25% of speed. Speed. 25% of the ship's speed towards the station, and there we go. We are now within range. We can hit the J key on your keyboard to drop out of Super Cruise. And here we are. We're now in front of the station. You can go ahead. Please approach the station at a safe speed and be mindful of other pilots in the area. The station will remind you to approach at a safe speed. Whether you heed that is completely up to you, or as you like, or whether it's you approach the station at a slow speed or at light speed. You can target the station by hitting the T key on your keyboard, which is your target, which selects the target that's in front of you, or deselects, or you can deselect the target that's in front of you as well. Or, if you like, you can go over to the navigational panel with your 1 key, use Q and E to navigate across the tabs there over to contacts, and then you can go ahead and select the station using the spacebar, and then using the A and D keys to request docking. Request denied. Decrease distance to 7.5 kilometers. The station will not accept a docking request outside of 7.5 kilometers. You can approach a station by increasing your thrust with the W key. W and S keys are increase and decrease thrust again. We're gonna go ahead and hit. Go to full speed here, and there we go. We are now within the 7.5 kilometer range. Let's go over to the contacts panel or the navigational panel. Hit E a couple times to go to the contacts panel, and highlight Ray Gateway. Hit the D key to go over to request docking.
Permission authorized. Cleared for landing on docking bay 4-4.
We have been granted docking access. We have been assigned a landing pad 44, and we have about 10 minutes in order to dock with the station, which is plenty of time. Plenty of time. So let's go ahead and get line ourselves up here with the mail tube here. And I'm using the W and S keys to increase and decrease thrust, X key to emergency stop or bring the throttle down to 0, A and D keys to turn your ship left and right, Q and E is to strafe your ship left and right, and R is to raise your ship up on a vertical plane. F is to drop your ship down on a vertical plane as well. You can use your mouse to roll your ship, pitch, yaw, that kind of thing. It's important to use your mouse whenever you're rotating, whenever you're docking with the ship, with the station, because as you can see, the station is spinning on its own to create artificial gravity. You can slightly nudge your mouse to the left here. You can slightly nudge your mouse to the left in order to match the rotational speed of the station, and that's important whenever you're approaching the mail slot of the station. Okay, I believe I have all the bases covered. Let's go ahead and approach through the mail slot at a safe speed of around below 100 meters a second. If you go above 100 meters a second, you'll be technically speeding. You can still dock at this speed. They're just going to yell at you, but for safety's sake, let's go ahead and keep this below 100 meters a second. Use it. Okay, so there's a ship coming out. So I'm going to go over here on the right-hand side of the docking tube, maintaining rotation, going through the mail slots, and there we go. We are now inside the station. And from here, we'll need to, let me just get out of the way here. We'll need to find where our landing pad is. And I believe our landing pad is over there, number 44. You can go ahead and, at this point, you can hit the L key on your keyboard to bring down your landing pad, and your ship will fly a little bit slower as a result, to allow you to make fine-tune adjustments with your speed. So we're just going to go ahead and approach our landing pad here, landing pad number 44. Decrease our thrust because we're going a little too fast. Strafe to the left, turn to the right. Strafe to the left, turn to the left. And we're about above our landing pad here. You can't see, so you won't be able to see directly below you. However, if you hit the F key on your keyboard to lower your ship towards the landing pad, a HUD will show up. Your HUD will change to show where you are on the landing pad, or where you are above the landing pad. Typically, you'll want to hit the bullseye whenever you're landing, and so you'll want to maneuver your ship over the bullseye. And once your ship is over the bullseye, just gently tap the F key on your keyboard to decrease, and there you go. To lower your ship down onto the landing pad,
Touchdown confirmed. Commence system shutdown. Report to station services for more information, Commander.
and that's how you dock with the station. At some point, the magnetic clamps on the docking port will lock onto your ship, and then it will bring you down safely onto the landing pad. If you come in, if it's important to come down to softly land on the landing pad, because if you come in too fast, you'll just bounce right off it. So that's docking. So that's docking with the station. Let's go ahead and try launching from your landing pad as well. Once you hit the launch button, your ship will rotate into position, and then the magnetic clamps will be released.
Ship restraints withdrawn. Restrict speed until clear of the station perimeter.
You'll want to use the R key on your keyboard in order to lift your ship off of the landing pad. At this point, you can hit the L key on your keyboard to retract your landing gear. And just like whenever you're approaching the station to dock, you'll want to fly. You'll want to slip through the mail slot here. You don't slip. You'll want to slip through the mail slot, and unlike approaching the station from the outside, you don't have to spin your ship or twist your ship. You won't have to rotate your ship to match the rotation of this rotational speed of the station. You could just fly straight out of the mail slot, or even boost out of it if you want. Launching from a station is easier than docking with a station. Now, most Sidewinders come with a advanced docking station, with an advanced docking computer already installed. So long as the advanced docking computer is turned on, you can access this. You can make sure that by hitting the 4 key on your keyboard to access your modules, fire group, ship, and yeah, blah 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 blah. And then looking for advanced docking computer. Hitting the spacebar will allow you to access the submenu of the module, where you can repair it if you have a AFMU, or you can just simply turn it off or turn it on with the spacebar. And if you have a in order to activate the docking computer, all you have to do is make sure it's turned on, select the station in front of you, request docking. Now, if you're going at a velocity, if your ship is moving, it will remind you need to slow down your ship to 0 before the computer will take over.
Access granted. Cleared for landing on docking bay 1-3.
And you can 0 throttle.
Docking approved. You may now hand over control.
Thank you. And you can throttle your ship's speed down to 0 with the X key, just as a reminder. And the docking computer will do the rest of the work.
Landing gear deployed.
This is a message to all commanders. Please reduce your speed when your ship inside the docking bay.
Landing successful. Clear to disembark. Enjoy your visit, Commander.
Now, it's important to note that the docking computer will only work if the station has the docking service installed onto it or is available. You can look up this information, but you can look up to see if a station has a docking services provided by by going over to your system map here on your navigational panel. So you want to select the station. Then on the left hand side here, you want to select you want to select the details page, and you'll want to look for the facilities part of the station, and you'll see docking here. All stations have this docking facility available, but you'll want to look for auto dock. A station that has auto dock functionality will have this listed here. Stations that don't have the auto dock facility installed will not have this listed here, and thus the docking computer will not work whenever you're approaching that station. Fortunately for the station that we docked with, it has the auto docking feature installed, so the docking computers will work with this station. And if you have there's the standard docking computer which handles docking with the station, and then you have the advanced docking computer which should be installed on your ship, which does docking with stations as well as undocking from stations. Observe.
This is a flight regulations
Detach confirmed. Watch for oncoming traffic when passing through the airlock.
And you can interrupt the auto docking you can interrupt the docking computer by simply increasing your thrust, and it will deactivate the docking computer if you're outside the station. And that basically covers docking and launching manually and automatically from the station. Next we'll cover how to dock and launch from regular outposts. Alright, let's cover how to launch and dock from a outpost, or dock and launch from an outpost. I think that's more appropriate. Docking with a regular outpost station is relatively similar to docking with a Coriolis station or a regular space station. However, the outpost is significantly smaller and only has a limited number of landing pads. Outposts will have a maximum of 2 small landing pads and 1 medium-sized landing pad. In this, in excuse me while I evade this NPC here. So rude these NPCs are. Right, where were we? So, just like docking with a regular station, you'll want to select your outpost from the navigational panel, which you can do from the number 1 key on the keyboard to access your navigational panel. Selecting looking for and selecting the outpost in the outpost here, and targeting it. I'm actually going to go ahead and turn off the docking computer here, so that way we cover how to manually dock with an outpost. Now that the outpost has been targeted, let's go ahead and approach the outpost. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter which side you need to be on whenever approaching the outpost, because you can access the 3 landing pads from pretty easily from the outpost. Again, I've increased my ship's throttle to about 25% speed, 25% of maximum speed. Oh, sorry, nudged my mouse there. And as you can see here, our ETA to the outpost is about 7 seconds. And we're just slowly approaching the outpost from here. A little too slow for my taste, but I'm doing this to help you guys out. So we're going to keep this speed as we approach. We're about 20 million meters away? Yeah, million meters, okay. You can judge your distance and your speed from the panel, from the HUD on the left-hand side, the far left-hand side as well. It will show you, so long as the bars are in blue, that means you're at a safe speed to approach. And whenever the bar hits blue for distance, you are within range to drop out of Super Cruise. Just like docking with a regular station, you'll want to approach the station. You want to target the station first by hitting the T key, or you can go over to your navigational panel, go to contacts, and hitting the spacebar to target the outpost in front of you. And you'll want to approach the outpost and be within the 7.5 kilometer. Again, you want to be within 7.5 kilometers from the station in order to request docking access or request docking.
Docking request granted.
We've been granted docking. Access, and we've been assigned landing pad number 2. I don't know if you see that on the bottom part of the bottom part of the outpost, but it looks like our small landing pads are on that side. So let's go ahead and get ourselves over there. Oh, this looks like a pirate station. Nice. Okay, coming in a little too fast here. At this point, you can go ahead and hit. At this point, you can go ahead and hit the L key on your keyboard to bring down your landing gear. You can use your mouse to rotate your ship so to an appropriate angle. Increase your thrust using the W key, A and D keys to spin your ship left and right. Q and E to twist your ship to strafe left and right. R and F to raise your ship up and down. Now as I'm approaching the landing pad, I am turning my ship to the left. So, still on that slow approach to the landing pad. Cutting thrusters with throttling down to 0 with the X key. I don't think I'm directly over the landing pad just yet, so I'm going to go ahead and increase my thrust a little bit. There you go. I think we're now over top the landing pad. Use the F key to descend to the outpost onto the landing pad, and gently touch down on the landing to touch down onto the docking pad of the outpost. And launching from the outpost is just simple as going just straight up. You don't need to go through a mail slot at all. You just need to just leave the pad and just leave. Outposts are really easy.
Flight assist off. Flight assist on. Flight assist off. Flight assist on.
The Z key on your keyboard is your flight assist. You can use the Z key on your keyboard to toggle flight assist on or off. But if you do that, it makes your ship go crazy. That's why it's on a toggle. Flight assist helps you out greatly. However, if you can turn the flight assist mode off to really maneuver around in space, but we'll cover that at another time. If the station or the outpost has the auto dock feature turned on or installed, we can go ahead and request. You can have the docking computer request You can have the docking computer do all the work as well, same as with a regular station. Just request access. Have to target it. Have to target the station, the outpost first. Request docking access. Hang on a minute. There we go.
Docking request granted.
And the docking computer will take over from here.
Landing gear deployed. Docking successful. Engines disengaged.
So that's docking with a docking computer on, and auto launching is launching with a docking computer is about the same. Only I think it just raises you up to a certain threshold and then stops.
Landing gear retracted. Chute released. Engines engaged.
And there you go. That's docking and launching from an outpost. Next we'll cover how to dock and launch from planetary outposts. All right, let's cover how to dock with a planetary outpost. Please note that planetary landing is included with the Horizons DLC. If you don't have the Horizons DLC part of Elite Dangerous, you won't be able to dock with planetary outposts. Moving forward, docking with planetary outposts are a bit different than docking with a regular station. You'll have to, whenever you're approaching a planetary outpost or a planetary base, you'll need to orbit the celestial body or planet to get on the side that the base is on, and then approach the station from there at an angle between 20 and 50 degrees. If you go more than 50 degrees, then your angle of descent is too low, and thus you won't glide through the atmosphere or lack of an atmosphere to approach the station. If you're too high, if your altitude is too high on approach, then your ship will not glide in the atmosphere as well, and you'll just stop right there. So it's important to be within the 20 degrees and 50 degree angle of ascent in order to be able to glide towards the station. I'll cover that in a minute. But first, let's go ahead and find a planetary outpost or a planetary base like this one right here. This is a Rothman Vista is considered a planetary port. We'll go ahead and lock onto it, and it looks like it is about 461 light seconds away. Let's go ahead and, while we're in Super Cruise, increase our throttle to full in order to travel to the planetary base. And once again, I'm turning off my docking computer to show you how to do this manually. We'll cover how to do this automatically with a docking computer later on. Again, just like the... Okay, we're coming up a little bit. We're coming up a little bit too fast here. So decreasing my throttle down to 25% again, just like approaching a station or an outpost or anything in Super Cruise. You'll see here on the left-hand side of the HUD here your distance and your speed, just like on the outposts. We generally want to approach the planet as we're approaching the planet here. You'll see that our ETA is still around 7 seconds. 7 seconds is a good ballpark on approach for an ETA. Too fast, if you're going too fast, your ETA will be will be quicker than about 7 seconds. If you're going too slow, if you're coming in too slow, your ETA will take longer. But as we're approaching we're now on approach with the planet here, and oh no, it looks like the planet is our planetary base is obscured by the planet itself, which means we'll need to go around the planet in order to gain access in order to reach the planetary base. And there we go. Once we're within when the base is not obscured by the planet, the targeting HUD will turn yellow instead of gray. It looks like the planet is on the planetary base is on the dark side of the planet. So something to note here. If I can find the night vision. Hold on. As it turns out, the night vision is not automatically set. The night vision is not automatically set as a to a default key binding in Elite Dangerous. So if you want to use night vision, you'll have to go into your settings here under Options, Controls, Miscellaneous, and then scroll all the way down to night vision. Now I have night vision set to my semicolon, which is right next to my landing key, which is the L key. That's for personal preference. Whatever key you want to set your night vision to, you can set it to that key as well. But when night vision is turned on, your windows will turn into like a slight green hue, and you'll see. It's hard to see right now, but you'll see it. You'll see it later on. All right, now that the night vision key is set, let's go ahead and approach the planetary base here. I'm rotating so that way I'm flush with the planet. Don't have a good word for that. Increasing my throttle to about 25% of thrust. And as we're approaching the planet, you'll see an additional HUD pop up, which shows your altitude.
Orbital flight engaged.
And once you surpass a certain threshold, your orbital computer will kick in. If you have the Horizons Pass, which I'm assuming you do. And just from there, we'll want to approach the planet at a safe speed, as shown on the to the right-hand side of the HUD, and usually I keep the bar around blue as well for the throttle speed as well. And once you get to a certain point, once you get to the dropout point, your ship will drop into orbital cruise, at which point your ship will start to glide towards the station or the planetary base. Let's go ahead and turn on night vision. As you can see, night vision helps you see the terrain as well as where your station is. It really helps whenever you're on the dark side of the planet. One thing to note here that's different from stations and outposts.
Delacy 000. We hope you enjoy your stay at this terrestrial port, Commander.
One thing to note whenever you're approaching a planetary base is that gravity exists. You can see what kind of gravity that's being exerted onto your ship by looking at the values below your altitude HUD. First, you have your longitude and latitude values. Directly below that is your G, or your gravity meter. This planet here has gravity about 1.13 G, so it's a low gravity planet. Low gravity planets are easier to land on than high gravity planets. A lot of people have turned into scrap metal because they've smacked into a high gravity planet too fast. So just food for thought. The more gravity that is available, the faster your ship is going to fall to the ground. So take that into consideration whenever you're docking with a planetary outpost or planetary base. Just like just like docking with a regular station, you'll want to target the planetary base in front of you. Request docking,
Permission authorized. Proceed to Bay 04.
and we've been assigned a landing pad of 04. Let's go ahead and fly to our base or landing pad. Now, for planets that have a gravity rating of like 1 or 2, it's better to take your time when approaching the landing pad. Otherwise, you're gonna fall too fast and then smack into the ground.
3,000 meters from touchdown.
So we're gonna go ahead and approach this slowly. We have 10 minutes to dock, which is plenty of time. And using the A key on my keyboard to turn my ship to the left, D key to turn my ship to the right. I'm using the mouse to rotate my ship. Okay. And looks like we're close enough that we can activate our landing gear by hitting the L key on your keyboard.
Descend to flight level 200.
Landing gear deployed.
Landing gear is now deployed. And we're just going to approach the landing pad here and stop the ship. Maybe give it a little bit more.
Pilots are reminded to dock only on their designated landing pads. Unauthorized landing within the perimeter of this port is not allowed.
The station will give out notifications to command. It's just like regular stations and outpost. Maybe not outpost because there's no voice lines for outposts for some reason. So now we appear to be directly above the landing pad. Do take care though whenever you're approaching the landing pad, because whenever you tap on the F key in order to descend down onto the landing pad, please take note of gravity, because the higher the gravity, the faster you're going to fall. And to show you how gravity affects your ship, if you turn off flight assist, your ship will be slowly pulled down towards the planet's gravity.
Flight assist on. Flight assist off. Flight assist on.
You can use that to your advantage whenever you're landing onto planetary bases.
Docking successful. Engaging docking restraints. We're pleased to have you, Commander.
And that's docking with a planetary outpost. Launching from a planetary outpost is similar to an outpost where you can lift off from the landing pad and just go straight up.
Landing gear retracted.
Detached. Clear for departure.
Oh, the tab key is your boost button, by the way, as well. Forgot to mention that. And that's basically launching from a planetary outpost. Let's go ahead and cover how to use the docking computer to dock with the planetary outpost. And docking with a planetary outpost with a docking computer is the same as docking with a station with a docking computer, as well as docking with an outpost with a docking computer. It's all very simple. You go ahead and select your planetary base, request the dock, make sure your throttle is set to 0 by hitting the X key, and your docking computer will take over.
Automated docking initiated.
It's also worth noting that if you modify your thrusters with engineering, if you modify enhanced performance thrusters with dirty tuning of the thrusters, and then have a docking computer, it's really funny whenever you're docking with really good thrusters.
Perform landing checklist.
The
Nice to
docking
have you with us, Commander.
the docking computer will literally bounce off the pad and then land back on the pad again. So that's docking with the docking computer on. Launching from a docking computer with an advanced docking computer is just the same as launching from an outpost with a docking computer. It'll just take you straight up.
Landing gear retracted.
Restraints released. You may climb to escape altitude.
And that covers docking and launching from a planetary outpost or planetary base. And that concludes our tutorials on how to dock and launch with stations, outposts, and planetary bases in Elite Dangerous. I hope this video has been of some help for you new commanders in teaching how to dock and launch between various stations in the game, which is a core component in the game as well. If you like further assistance, there are other tutorials out there for Elite Dangerous, and I will link a video that I found to be a little bit helpful from a content creator by the name of the Yamiks. He's quite helpful in pointing out different aspects of the game, as well as which aspects of the game are game breaking or just downright not useful. Um, Feel free to give the video in the description that I linked in the description to watch, and I hope to see you out in the Black Commanders. Fly safe.